This is our snow room. It is one of my favourite.
How much weight did you lose?
25 kilos?
The allure is life-changing weight loss.
One word, game changer. This is transformational medicine.
But does it come with life-ending risk?
He was only on it for 19 days.
I can't accept that someone can just stop living.
On 60 Minutes.
The breakthroughs to treat Parkinson's,
drug addiction, early onset Alzheimer's.
The drugs reshaping the world.
Are these drugs safe?
We don't leave matches in the hands of children. It has to be supervised.
So how far would you go
Why are we risking our lives?
to be thin?
Is a recall something you're considering? Blame it on our success as a wealthy Western nation, but we live with an enormous problem. Our size. Too many Australians are too big. Everyone knows excess weight is bad for our health, but battling the bulge is a fight too few of us win. And that's the reason drugs like Ozempic are so in demand. They promise a quick fix to losing kilos, even though they're not designed as weight loss remedies. But users beware. The Ozempic hype is starting to wither, replaced with the reality that it and similar drugs are very risky, even deadly. For much of her life growing up, debilitating pain was Shannon Natalia's unwelcome but constant companion. It was an agony made worse by not knowing what caused it or how to fix it.
It feels like you are in a wetsuit and fill the inside of the wetsuit with like just sludge and heavy, heavy sand. And then you're having to walk around in that wetsuit and it's just strapped to your legs.
After years of scratching their heads, in 2020, doctors finally diagnosed Shannon with lipedema, an incurable disease that had produced an abnormal build-up of fat in her lower body. At first, pain management was limited.
There's everything here that you could even think of, to be honest.
The gym and cold therapy recovery sessions provided minor relief.
So this is our snow room. It is one of my favourite components to use for pain management. Okay, so this is the Himalayan rock salt room.
But then Shannon's GP prescribed injections of Ozempic.
I felt normal. All of a sudden, my inflammation was gone, my pain was gone.
All because of Ozempic?
Nothing had made the impact that made.
Ozempic had originally been developed to treat diabetes. But when it became known a side effect of the drug was rapid weight loss, its popularity exploded.
I wanted to show you guys that everyone starts somewhere, even if you're starting back somewhere.
Shannon is proof it's effective. Her transformation was amazing. And not only did her pain disappear, so did the excess kilos lipedema had cruelly inflicted. How much weight did you lose?
25 kilos?
Lipedema is now one of many conditions scientists believe could be treated successfully with medications like Ozempic. And with a mass of enthusiastic spruiking from social and mainstream media, it's no surprise these products have taken on the label of wonder drugs.
Drugs, like Ozempic, may also help curb drug addiction.
Ozempic could help people with early onset Alzheimer's.
If you could use it for all these applications, it would truly be a miracle drug.
I liken this to when the T Ford was first invented, and suddenly we had changes in transportation and the horse and cart went out.
Professor of Medicine and endocrinologist at St Vincent's Hospital, Dr Catherine Zamaris, is blown away by the potential of drugs like Ozempic. Have you ever seen a drug explode around the world the way Ozempic has?
Not really. When I think back at other points in medical history, probably the introduction of penicillin has been as transformative. So it's a game changer.
Incredible? Yes. But by no means a miracle in the making. While Ozempic and a number of similar weight loss injections come with promise, they also bring risk.
It's a dangerous drug.
Roy Webster is convinced about the cause of his wife's death 12 months ago. Trish Webster had been taking an Ozempic-like medication called Saxenda to lose a few kilos because she wanted to look her best at her daughter's wedding.
She shouldn't be gone, you know. I don't think she should be gone. She didn't deserve that.
Trish was thought to be the first Australian death linked to these weight loss injections. But after 60 Minutes reported it late last year, more families contacted us with similar stories. How did he feel about his weight?
He used to joke that, you know, you needed a big carcass to carry around a big heart. But he wanted to be healthy. He wanted to live a long life. And now I can carry his ashes around in one hand.
Sue and Elise Ramsey want answers. They want to know why 18 months ago, their much-loved husband and dad, Tim, died after taking injections of Saxenda. What made him decide he wanted to lose weight?
I think it was the prospect of maybe walking Elise down the aisle that he thought, I do need to lose weight.
Tim was a truckie. It was a job that made exercise and eating well difficult. So when the 58-year-old decided to try Saxenda to lose weight, Sue thought it was worth a try. So Tim went to the GP and asked for it?
Yep, she gave him the script and said it will be good for all aspects of your life. It will protect all your organs. And
so that's when he thought, yep, that sounds good to me.
Tim was confident the injections would work. But after only 19 days, something was clearly wrong.
Yeah, brother, stay here. I'm down there just on the truck. Would you be able to come down and take me to hospital, please? Thank you.
When Elise received this voicemail,
you can hear the desperation in his voice.
It doesn't sound like him. That's not his voice.
She rushed him to hospital. Tim was complaining of severe stomach pain. But after a series of tests, the doctors couldn't find anything amiss. Did you mention to the doctors that he was taking Saxenda?
Yes, and I asked if that was a bit problematic for his other medication, and he said no, that would be fine. So really there was nothing more they said about the Saxenda.
They just sent him home.
The following night, Tim's pain got worse. He collapsed in the bathroom at home. 40 minutes of CPR couldn't save him. Last November, 14 months after he died, a coroner ruled Tim's cause of death was undetermined. But Sue says that doesn't make sense.
I don't believe that anybody should die without an explanation. There has got to be. You just don't expire. There has got to be a reason for Tim's death. And so I think that's when we really, really thought maybe the Saxenda had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
You just do not expect to find your daughter on her knees in front of the toilet bowl, dead.
Leonie Margetts knows the distress Sue and Elise Ramsey feel. Her 39-year-old daughter, Naomi Rooney, died in June 2022 after taking Ozempic injections. Naomi was desperate to be a mum and had been told she needed to lose weight to have any chance of falling pregnant.
She was very aware of turning 40 and her options of being a mum were running out.
As an experienced nurse, Naomi had an expert knowledge of drugs and their side effects. But even so, something tragic happened after she started using Ozempic.
My first thought through my head was, this cannot be happening, this cannot be happening, this cannot be real. But things just happened so quickly. And then it was an awful, awful tussle to wrestle her out of the toilet and to get her onto the floor to try and do CPR. Yeah.
And she never regained consciousness?
No. When a partner picked her up, he said straight away that she was blue around her mouth. And there's nothing that I can do to erase that image.
Leonie is angry at the ease in which her daughter got Ozempic. She bought it online after filling out a simple questionnaire and having a telephone consultation with a doctor. Naomi Rooney and Tim Ramsey's deaths are now both being investigated by Australia's drug regulator, the Therapeutic Goods Administration. But their families want more. They're demanding the TGA make doctors do more to ensure their patients use drugs like Ozempic safely. Why can't you give them more than guidance? Why can't you tell them, don't do it? Ashley Keenan was the perfect patient to be prescribed Ozempic. The Canadian has diabetes and is overweight. But the drug that was supposed to save her life almost killed her.
I was only on Ozempic for about 4 months when I ended up in the ICU, an intensive care unit, for 10 days. I nearly died.
Ashley suffered what's now emerging as a serious concern, a severe gastrointestinal reaction to the drug.
The doctors told me it was what they call a perfect storm. The side effects of the Ozempic gave me pancreatitis. The pancreatitis caused me to vomit uncontrollably. I actually remember one of the ER doctors telling me that he roped in every specialist that he could so that he could try to save my life.
Despite her near-death experience, Ozempic had been doing what it's become famous for. Ashley was losing the kilos. But when she stopped taking the drug and returned home from hospital, she quickly put weight back on. What she did next was confounding.
I'm quite ashamed of this. At one point, I actually went back on Ozempic because I hated how much weight I had regained, and my doctors gave it to me. They said, okay, well, we're gonna monitor you more closely this time. And after 2 months, I had pancreatitis again. It made me realize, like, okay, this medication is harmful.
Doesn't that show the power of this drug, though? Even though you nearly died, you went back for more.
I know it's not something I'm proud of, but it did really open my eyes to how I thought about myself and my body.
Ashley's experience is what Dr. Mahia Etmanan has been researching at the University of British Columbia. He's been studying the increased prevalence of gastrointestinal issues in people taking Ozempic and similar drugs for weight loss. What he found worries him.
We looked at the risk of 4 gastrointestinal type conditions, and I can say on average there was an added increase in risk of around 0.5% in absolute terms.
Why were these findings concerning to you, Doctor?
Because although the 0.5% on the surface may not seem like a large number, when we consider that millions of people around the world are taking these drugs, it could translate into a relatively large number of people affected.
In fact, Dr. Etmanan calculates the current Ozempic craze means several 100,000 people could be suffering potentially deadly side effects. But back in Australia, Professor Catherine Zamaris says the risks can be mitigated with proper medical care. Doctor, are these drugs safe?
Used appropriately, cautiously, guided by experts, these drugs are very safe.
Currently, Ozempic is only approved by the TGA to treat diabetes. It's no secret that drugs like Ozempic are landing in the hands of people who shouldn't be on it. Why do we need to be cautious?
We need to be cautious because these drugs have adverse effects. And these adverse effects can be really very severe. But this can be prevented. But you have to be advised how to do that. And a handout and an internet consultation is not enough. One needs to see an expert. These can be dangerous drugs if they're left in the hands of people. We don't leave matches in the hands of children. We shouldn't leave these drugs in the hands of people. It has to be supervised.
And the benefit of these drugs, I don't think, should be overlooked. But they're not the silver bullet for weight loss.
Professor Robin Langham is the Chief Medical Advisor at the Therapeutic Goods Administration. One of her roles is to investigate adverse outcomes associated with pharmaceutical drug use. She's well aware of the tragic cases of Trish Webster, Tim Ramsey and Naomi Rooney, but is guarded about whether their deaths could impact the use of Ozempic-like drugs in Australia.
Clearly, anytime anybody loses a loved one in association with a drug that they've been prescribed or a device that they've been using is just absolutely devastating. And, you know, we really feel a responsibility. Every death that's reported to us is investigated, and if we do see that there's a need to change the messaging with the drug, the information that goes with the drug, or even in some cases to withdraw the drug, then we have the power to do so.
Is a recall something you're considering?
A recall is a very serious decision that we'd make, and only done when the risks are completely outweighing the benefits of these drugs.
Determining that will take time, but more immediately, Professor Langham warns of another danger. At present, GPs should only prescribe Ozempic for the treatment of diabetes, not weight loss. But the reality is, many doctors are simply ignoring the guidelines.
Our guidance to doctors is that they focus the use of the limited amount of Ozempic that's in the country, that they focus the use of that Ozempic on patients that have type 2 diabetes.
Why can't you give them more than guidance? Why can't you tell them, don't do it?
Our work is guided very much by the legislation that we have, and we don't have the powers to mandate.
It's less than 1% of people who have these adverse effects, but that's still somebody's dad, it's still somebody's sister, it's still somebody's loved one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very serious and very tragic problem for the families that are concerned, and we don't wish to minimise that at all.
But there's yet another frustration faced by the TGA. The success of Ozempic for weight loss has caused a worldwide shortage of the product. And that's led to a growing practice by pharmacists to make their own versions of the drug.
For patients that are receiving compounded semaglutide type products, this is not Ozempic. This is not the drug that has been extensively evaluated and tested and approved for its safety and its efficacy.
It's a dilemma. What to do about the use of Ozempic and drugs like it for weight loss? Shannon Natalia is convinced they work. The families of Tim Ramsey and Naomi Rooney say otherwise. For many of us, the desire to be thinner is overwhelming. But at what cost? What's your warning to people who would be watching this and they know they shouldn't be on it?
I don't think people who want to fit into a frock for their school reunion or look good on their social media should be using this. I think that that's a complete waste of time and dangerous, and preventing people who need the drug from accessing it.
Hello, I'm Amelia Adams. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for our brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.